Hey everyone, I hope you have all been having a great game jam so far. This game jam, I'm going to be documenting the process of my game through these behind the scenes videos. Hopefully, it will give you insight into the process that I go through and will provide you with some valuable information that can help you out during the game jam. I hope you all enjoy the video. So as you can see here, I am in Hack and Plan, and this is the project management software we decided to use. Alternatively, there is a great online piece of software called Asana, and there is also Trello, which is significantly easier to use and highly recommended if it is your first time. I've covered Hack and Plan before in a video, but really briefly, what it allows me to do is have milestones, sprints set up here, and I can define the goal for each milestone, so week 1, prototype and playtest the game. We also have a progress bar as to how far along we've gotten in development, so we're 33% completed for this week. And if you have a look down here, I've got the various weeks set up and the various date ranges so we can see if we're on track or not. And the great thing about agile development is if we're not on track in say week 2, we can rescope week 3 and 4 and there's nothing that can really go wrong. Over here I've got all my tasks and Aaron's tasks set up. So Aaron is my teammate for this jam and he's doing a lot of the music, sound effects, and he is helping a lot in design, playtesting, and helping coming up with solutions for playtesting problems. Our first few tasks are completed here. Aaron's completed this, he just hasn't moved over to completed. Something else I really like about this is that you can assign a specific due date to a milestone and the specific amount of hours, and the subtasks are really easy to add in. This one doesn't have any. If we go to my art style mockup, so my subtasks, when it's meant to be completed by, and just some notes and stuff like that. So this is what we've been using, and as you can see, my first task was to generate game ideas, and I brainstormed a bunch of ideas within 30 minutes, and then in the last 30 minutes I found one I really liked, which turned into the final idea. And over here, really quickly, we have our Dropbox set up. So we have our root folder, and then we have our game ideas, music, and some game footage. And I'm going to add another folder soon, which is going to be for game builds, so Aaron can playtest and we can quickly iterate and give feedback on the game. So if I go into the game ideas, this is the document that I created, and working with Aaron has been really interesting. We're having a really great time, we communicate extremely well, and something I noticed early on is that we're both very visual. And the first thing I wanted to do was establish what the game might look like or feel like, and especially the perspective. So I got this amazing screenshots from this game here. I forget the name, I always forget the name, but it's a really great upcoming indie game. And what I wanted to do was have a mix of this low poly style with a bit more Wind Waker mixed in. And that's going to come through when I can eventually create a really nice cell shader. But for now, this is the kind of base look we'd like to go for. And after that, I decided the core, the player mechanics, enemies, hazards, and puzzles. So this document is actually called a macro design document. I got a lot of this terminology from Mark Cerny, who's worked with Sony for a number of years. He worked on the original Crash Bandicoot games and Spyro and some Ratchet & Clank and Jak and Daxter, I believe. And he had a great methodology. So this is the macro design document. Rather than having a massive 10-page design document, 20-page design document, it's simply one page which highlights all of the important core features of the game that we need. And this is all I need in order to begin development. And the other thing as well is that this document is not like the end of the road. We are actually iterating on brand new ideas all the time in Discord. So the concept is, rather than having this big document that just gets added to and you have to scroll through and it's crazy, we have a base document that is the initial idea. Then we work very closely together, iterating through ideas, and then adding tasks for ideas. So for a very small team, this is a very efficient way to work, and I'm really enjoying this way of working. So that's the initial setup. We need some form of project management so we can track our tasks, and somewhere where we can host files, which was Dropbox. And from there, we've got our game idea, and then we move into prototyping. So the first thing was the art mockup, and I'm going to show you some footage and walk through some of the 3D work I did. So in the footage coming up, you'll see the character being created. My goal was to get the character up as quickly as possible, and to be inspired by the music choices that we have made. So we somehow I brought up Final Fantasy VII, and we both basically just started getting way off topic, discussing the game and the music and what songs we love the most. And that led into us talking about a few other games. And that went back to an original point where I was discussing doing some type of visual mock-up or prototype for the game. And I decided that why don't we take inspiration from a game such as Final Fantasy to influence a lot of the things behind the scenes. And then Aaron suggested that we do something a bit more modern, and we look at games like Fire Emblem and maybe one of the newer tactics games in terms of the music. And I thought that was a great idea. So we're taking a mix of inspiration from Final Fantasy VII, Fire Emblem Awakening, Final Fantasy Tactics in influencing gameplay decisions, and also heavily the music and partially the visuals to a degree. So with that, I decided to go so I have amiibos with me. I have a few amiibos and I have the Cloud Strife amiibo from Final Fantasy, Ike and Lucina, and they're both from Fire Emblem, the Fire Emblem series. And I had them in front of me whilst I was modeling the character, so they were major influences. You can tell the cape from Ike that you'll see, and they were just there as a visual reference, which was really nice. After I created the character, I did a really basic rig and really basic animations. There are a ton of clipping problems you'll see when I show you the final clips, but this is just the initial prototype, so all that is fine. You'll see me here shortly setting up the low poly environment. So I created some trees, some really basic props. The cubes, I just beveled them, and the trees I made really quickly, and some walls. The idea was, with these low poly assets, can I create a really nice little mock-up that could help inspire the rest of the project and some of the visuals. So you'll see here I just put this environment together, then I do a bit of lighting and post-processing work, which was a major part of the look and the feel of this environment, the post-processing. Something I've invested time into recently was I got a LUT pack from the asset store, and that way I can just put in various LUTs to change the look of how the post-processing for the environment, which is really helpful. So it really helps with the color grading to have a library of LUT textures. And I cycled through quite a lot, and I found one I'm pretty happy with for now. And after that, I just added in some basic particles, and I created a very small video of the character just running around. Movement and getting the third-person camera, I've done it so many times now, it really only takes me 10 or 20 minutes. I've practiced it so much, and because I'm making a course on the third-person platformer course, I've really practiced and discussed it so many times that it takes no time at all, especially setting up the animations. So it was really quick for me to get all this up. It's mostly content now that takes a long time for me, rather than the actual functionality of the game. So I'm at a similar place to where I was in Unity, where all the functionality wasn't really that challenging. It was mostly just getting large amounts of content in the game. Content meaning lots of different art assets with various animations, rigs, texturing, and all that stuff. In terms of the visual style for the game, as I mentioned before, we're taking a huge influence from that game with the little fox that runs around, and hopefully Wind Waker. So one of the big things I'm going to be doing is spending some time with cell shaders, and I'm hopefully going to be able to create my own. I have created my own in Unity before, and not through code. I was using ShaderForge, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping the process is similar in Unreal using the material editor. And I can't wait to just sit down for a day or two and just make a cell shader, because if I can make a really nice one, that means I can use it on all my games, which will be really exciting. And I do want to work on a mobile game at some point in Unreal Engine 4, so getting a functional cell shader which doesn't tax performance a lot would be really nice. Anyway, that is the setup. Oh, and one more thing, I do have Sourcetree set up, which I'll quickly go through now. So this is Sourcetree, and this is Bitbucket over here, the last things I wanted to show you. Sourcetree is an amazing piece of software which allows me to upload various amounts of progress on my game at a time. So if you see here, I have this commit, which basically is, if you see here, it's all these files. When I put this commit up and I push it, it goes onto, whoop, I just pressed the shortcut there. It goes onto Bitbucket. So if you check the source here, this is my game currently, fully uploaded onto Bitbucket, which I can download anytime and from anywhere, and anyone else can download and make changes at the same time. So the amazing thing about this piece of software is I can make my own changes, commit and push my work. Other people can commit and push their work. Sourcetree will merge the files as long as there are no conflicting files, meaning if the same person worked on the same map and changed the same exact files on the map, there will be a conflict. So say I'm working with someone doing programming and I do some level design, I'll change the level, they do some programming, we didn't touch the same files, there's no conflict, so we both upload our files, it merges, we download it, the programmer can check out the map, I can check out the new features, I can add those new features to the map. The programmer can check out what features might be missing and add those, and we can collaborate really well together. So that's through using Sourcetree and Bitbucket, and I'm currently just using this alone as Aaron is focusing on the music, but the reason I like to use it as well, as I mentioned before, is that it is constantly uploading and saving my work, so if anything happens to my computer, or I want to revisit this sometime in the future, I can just simply go to my Bitbucket account and check out the repository and get the game and easily make changes and see if it works in newer versions of Unreal or whatever I want to do at the time. So I personally really like Sourcetree. I recommend everyone to use it. If you are unaware of how to use it or what it does, let me know in the comments because I might do a video on it. It might take 10 or 15 minutes to go through it, but it will probably be worth it. So I hope everyone's using some form of source control to back up their work. I hope you all enjoyed that look at the initial week for the Game Jam. The other thing I'll be doing this week is the prototype, which you'll all see next week. I hope the process was somewhat informative of how I go about setting everything up for the jam, having my tasks ready, having a repository, a Dropbox, and all that stuff. So thank you all for watching. I hope you got something useful out of it, and good luck with the Game Jam. I hope you all have a great time.